Hey, and good morning, followers, subscribers, and anyone new who might have come onto this video. Today we're going to be talking about Piers Morgan rips into Barbie after Oscar's snub. The Greta Gerwig snub, I guess, is probably the more prevalent one. You could say that Margot Robbie was also robbed. But this is really looking at Piers Morgan's recent 8-minute episode where he is talking about anti-patriarchy nonsense. Piers Morgan rips into Barbie after Oscar's snub, and these are my reactions.
Let's start with you, Ava, about Barbie. We discussed this briefly yesterday, but it's been ratcheted up by Ryan Gosling's rage-filled statement about himself being nominated for an award at the Oscars, but not the two women who were basically behind the movie's success, Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig.
Okay, so he's really reacting to Ryan Gosling's statement. He's obviously he's jumping on the bandwagon. Clearly, it's in the press, in the news. I think all Ryan Gosling said was he was disappointed. He has to say something, I guess, and you're not going to say that he's really happy and he doesn't care. So what else is Ryan Gosling supposed to say? As far as his comment on Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie not being nominated, like, why should they be nominated? I'm not a fan of Barbie. I feel I need to rewatch it maybe because I can only review a film of my initial feeling of watching it, and do I need to watch it twice to maybe have the same opinions about it? But clearly it's had a wider reaction with the world, really, and a positive reaction. If you look on IMDb, though, after a while things start to balance out, and this is Margot Robbie's one of her worst rated films for about 5 to 10 years. And if you look at her IMDb record, it's rated at 6.9, which does suggest there's just as many haters as there are likers of the film. So if you don't like it, you're not alone. But Greta Gerwig, I want to talk about, because Greta Gerwig, out of anybody, should have been nominated. If you look at the best song, all of that stemmed from Greta Gerwig. She makes that call to Billie Eilish. She personally works with her husband to create that script. She has to work with the production crew to get that production up and running. Without Greta Gerwig, she is the common denominator. So to say that she shouldn't have been nominated, I think is absolute rubbish by Piers Morgan. But you know, he is a specialty of rubbish, and you know that he doesn't probably even think of it himself, but he knows it's going to cause a reaction. So as I say, I don't like Barbie, but I do think Greta Gerwig should have been nominated.
Patronising anti-patriarchy nonsense from start to finish. I didn't think Margot Robbie, who I love and think is a brilliant actress, was very good in this. I thought he was probably the best of a bad bunch of acting performances.
By saying he loves Margot Robbie is a bit like me saying I like Greta Gerwig and not liking Barbie. It's a way of protecting himself, saying she can do better than this. That's kind of a gut feeling I have about Ryan Gosling and anyone in that movie, apart from the people whose names you don't know, who probably were elevated by the movie. But I don't know what it's done for their careers, apart from being a little bit of a gimmick, in my opinion. So I kind of agree with him, but I don't like the fact that he's doing what I do, which is basically saying that he likes her, but this is wrong. And obviously Piers is always right.
But it really, one of the best directed movies of the year. Do me a favour. There's a woman who has been nominated in the best directed category who made a fantastic film, right? That's on merit. Why should just, could you make a silly movie attacking men using real life dolls?
He's talking about Justin Trier's Anatomy of a Fall, which I really liked as well. And if you put the two and two side to side, I would watch Anatomy of a Fall time and time again. And it's a Cannes winner, but it really is an arty film in comparison to Barbie. And you know, you've got mass big budget movie versus low budget European movie. He's trying to show that he knows about films, that he's sophisticated about films. I know that because that's why I'd say I like Anatomy of a Fall. It makes you seem like you're a film, knowledgeable film person. Whereas, of course, Barbie, everyone likes Barbie. I don't like Barbie, so he's trying to elevate himself there.
Silly movie attacking men using real life dolls. Why should you get any nomination?
Why should you get any nomination? Because it doesn't matter if it's about dolls, pigeons, or spaceships. It's the subject matter. So irrelevant, Piers.
Look, I have to
End
say,
of rant.
I was slightly confused why people were so upset and calling it misogynistic, because the other people who were nominated were women, so I wasn't quite understanding that. I also didn't understand the comparisons with Hillary Clinton. So a lot of people were saying that because, this is why
She's compared herself to it.
She has. This is why we haven't had 8 years of Hillary Clinton, because people don't choose women. And I don't agree with that at all. However, what I would say is...
More women got nominated this year, apparently, than ever before.
So I don't think the Oscars is really as clever as people think it is. I don't think it can purposefully be misogynistic, or I honestly think that they take the best films and they are the ones that get nominated. I don't think that you have to think about it any more than that. And no, they're not geniuses. They're not rocket scientists. They can't work out the world's problems with misogyny.
What I would say is perhaps there is a little bit of a spirit in the air, which is, a little taste of, do people just not really like what girls like?
Yeah, I agree. I think there is this sense of you've got to be careful when you're reviewing a film. Are you taking a middle-class male white opinion when something is clearly very successful to a whole different demographic? And you've got to take that into account. And Piers is just brushing it off. I think that's a very good point being made there.
Oh, it's
People,
nonsense.
A lot of women really enjoyed that movie. A lot of men enjoyed that movie as well.
It got 8 other nominations.
And I guess the ultimate prize is the $1 billion that it made at the box office. But look, it was the most popular.
Do you know what's also made $1 billion at the box office? All 3 Jurassic Worlds.
It's a very good point, and a reason why a lot of people might not like Barbie.
Let me bring in Zuby. Zuby, where do you sit on Barbiegate and this furore is erupting because Margot, Robbie, and Greta Gerwig have been snubbed? I don't think they should have ever been even considered.
I'm going to be as honest as I always am, and I really don't care.
Does it? Okay, let me try.
It's a perfect answer, because actually I don't think anyone does care. This is just a media hype thing.
This snub is ludicrous. Or not?
I think it's silly. I think we certainly have much bigger fish to fry as a society. From the precursory glance I've taken at articles, it does look like the movie did get 8 Oscar nominations. It just seems that people are mad that the director and Margot Robbie specifically didn't get nominations, but it looks like other people from the film did, including another one of the female actresses.
Yeah.
So, I think that the criticisms are silly, but also expected.
Kevin, where do you sit on this?
Well, we were told there's no Ken without Barbie, but there clearly will be at the Oscars.
But that's why I love it. That's why I love that Ken's getting the last laugh. They make him out to be a total numbskull in the movie. He's the downtrodden, oppressed guy who ends up getting dumped because she doesn't need a man. She can do it all herself. And you know what? Turns out Ken has the last laugh.
It's the middle.
I think the film's deeper than that, Piers. I think there is something there. Like I watched it in probably the same eyes as he did initially. I didn't really care about the misogyny or any of those messages. For me, it didn't work as a movie. It worked, A plus B plus C equals D, whatever. It worked in that way, but it didn't do anything for me. Like so many other movies, and I think he's trying to crowbar misogyny in there. I don't like that. I think this has got nothing to do with it. I think those jokes are actually the funny elements of the film and the reason to watch the film. They're funny. And it is laughing at wokeness and stuff like this. But he's using this as a platform to reinforce his views, which I don't want to go into, but they're so irritating. And don't you just look at this guy and just think, wow, why do we have these people on the planet, really? I mean, what is the use of them?
It's a little bit embarrassing because the film's not called Ken.
Well, it would be like me being nominated for something that you 3 were involved in. I wouldn't give you a moment's thought. I'd just take the credit and practice my speech.
I think I've been very vocal about how much I despise Barbie as a lifelong Barbie fan. I don't think a single one of them should have been nominated for anything. Maybe the Razzies or something.
I thought it was a dreadful
It was
film.
but the thing is, they spent more money.
Patriarchy
They spent more money on the marketing than the production. Which should tell you everything you need to know.
Because what is the patriarchy?
But it wasn't for
What is
you.
it?
But the film wasn't for you.
Yes, it was for me, and I hated it.
We celebrate matriarchy, right? I celebrate the matriarchs in my family. Very strong women down every single generation. We celebrate the matriarchy. Why can't we celebrate strong men anymore?
Well, I have got the ick from Ryan Gosling, I have to say. I really don't understand why you would put out that statement. Do you know what it actually felt like?
It's embarrassing.
No. It was mansplaining.
I don't want to be. I don't want Piers to tell me about feminism. Really don't. But I also hate when people start talking about mansplaining, because you're basically saying men can never explain anything ever.
Vengeful feminists who want to kill all men.
Who don't
And then
shave.
there are the worst type of all, which are the weak male virtue signaling feminists who pop up in all these things.
are just trying
and
to
I'm
get
afraid
laid.
Gosling has fallen into this trap and try and
He's trying to stay friends with Gosling, isn't he? He's trying to not be too nasty to him, so he's fallen into this trap. He's not just going for the jugular, and this is what he'll never ever go for the jugular of anyone who's more famous than him, that's better than him.
Because he was the only tolerable part of that film. And sorry, this whole male feminist rant. Most male feminists are just trying to get laid, to be honest. So.
Let me go back to Zuby, who's been smirking away with this. I think getting more and more into the scandal as he hears more about it. A filmmaker called Kenya Barris is directing new remakes of It's a Wonderful Life and Wizard of Oz, two of my favourite films, to, of course, give diverse reboots for people who hadn't felt seen. I've got to say, when I read these stories, my heart sinks. It's like when Disney tried to remake Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and not give any dwarf actors any roles. Because why can't we just celebrate great movies as they were intended to be at the time? Like we do great music, great sport. We can accept life moves on. You can make new movies. Why do we have to ruin everything?
Nothing ever gets ruined. It just gets things change, and quite often I think we think we're watching the original, or we're thinking back to the original, but maybe there was one before that. I think every generation deserves its a story can be told as many times as it needs to be. So I don't agree with that. Kind of going off the Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie on a tangent here, but let's see where it goes.
Zuby, convince me I'm wrong.
It's a very strange thing. Yeah, it's a very strange thing, Piers, because this has been going on for years, and it backfires every single time. The movies tend to bomb. They lose money, they get low rankings from audiences, but they keep on doing it over and over, whether this is the all-female reboot of Ghostbusters, or this is, race-swapping various characters and different things. People don't really like it, especially when you mess with their childhood history in such a way. If you want to create new characters and create new concepts and ideas, then go out and create new characters and concepts and ideas. Don't take things that have been loved and known for 50 or 100 years and go and gender swap them or race swap them. All it does is it really creates...
He might be referring to The Little Mermaid there. I don't think anyone had a problem with that.
I think that if you really want
a lot of people thought you can't change the colour of The Little Mermaid. Well, you clearly can. It's a fictional character.
It's not something you force, and actually the more you force it, the more resentful you make people.
And Ava, the original Wizard of Oz, which is a brilliant movie, featured more than 120 dwarves who played the Munchkins. Most of them are from a performing group in Germany and landed the roles after escaping the country just months before the Nazis invaded Poland. This is likely to have saved their lives, as Nazi policy was for a pogrom of undesirables, and they believed that included dwarfs, right? It should be noted also there are no white men in lead roles in Wizard of Oz. Dorothy, a Tin Man, a Scarecrow, and a Talking Lion. How much more diverse do you want it to be?
Look, I just think it's quite a fantastic PR move, isn't it, if you're bringing out a new film to say that you are making it woke, because then it gets on programmes like yours, and then millions more people.
They're doing it just to wind me up. Well, they're succeeding.
Well,
Kevin?
they do. But like, you've got two classic films. You probably cannot.
That's very interesting about the dwarfs there. Really interesting. Nice bit of history there from Piers.
Compare and contrast and look for the differences. That's why you'll do it with diversity.
Esther, give me some common sense on this.
It's just laziness, really. They're only capitalizing on the name. So if you have the name of Barbie or the Wizard of Oz, you don't have to put in any effort. And we talk about it, which gives them all the free publicity. So if we ignored it, they probably would do better.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood struggles. If you've got a name, even Barbie, for example, you've got a platform. I think Hollywood is always trying to find something that's going to make money, and Anatomy of a Fall probably won't make its money back because it's too art house. So it is a constant struggle. I think we take it for granted a little bit. I think there needs to be a bit more knowledge about how Hollywood works, the engine, where the money comes from. There has to be a remake can bring in money because there's already a platform of marketing it's building upon, or a sequel, for example. So you've got to understand that maybe that the survival of movies it depends on remakes and sequels. How can a production company, they need their strong cash cow movies to pay for all of the ones that we like. And any production house that doesn't have those very, very high-grossing films cannot pay for them, and probably will collapse, and that happens all the time. So there is more to this than what's been said here.
But if we ignored it, we wouldn't have a chance to slam them.
You want to see him, though, don't you? You want to see him, even if you go along and say that's awful.
Absolutely not.
I want to see the first supposedly diverse posters for the new thing. Watch the public go, what are you doing?
But you went
then
to
watch them
Barbie.
perform a U-turn. And that's,
You went to Barbie, though.
Well, I had to,
didn't
because
you?
my daughter, she watched it.
I reckon
I had to
you
give her a
enjoyed
reprogramming.
Doesn't this reinforce his lack of ability to really care about what other people think? Because these films aren't aimed at him.
Great to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back soon. Pat, thank you very much.
Zuby, I have to check this guy out. I might have to see if I can hashtag him in on this. So my opinion on this is that Piers doesn't really know much about movies, but he's giving his thoughts, and he really gives us that representation of a white middle class bloke behind a desk, and he doesn't even try and hide it, and with his very, very stereotypical opinions, and if that's how he wants to position himself, that's correct. I love he's very clever at trying to cushion things, like here he hasn't burnt any kind of connection with Gosling, because who knows, maybe he gets a call from him one day and he wants to have him on his show. So he's very careful to do that. Look how he roasts people that aren't famous though, or he can't leverage, or he can get nothing from. He will rip them apart. So we're talking about an incredibly strange guy, Piers Morgan. I won't say too many negative things about him, but really interested that he picked up on this. So there you go. This is Barbie being snubbed and kind of a reaction to it. I do think Greta should definitely have been nominated, because the amount of work she had to do was insane. This would not have had the success it would have had without her. I think all the other nominations are good. Production design, certainly. Costumes. I don't think this is Ryan Gosling's best performance and shouldn't be why he wins an Oscar. And if it is, it might even tarnish his career. I don't think it will do him any favors. So I can see he's kind of embarrassed. He would much rather be there to support the others, Margot Robbie as a producer and Greta Gerwig. Margot Robbie has an opportunity to go and pick up the Oscar as a producer, and let's see if that happens. But I don't think it will win, because I think Oppenheimer is going to probably beat everything. And I'm pretty sure Piers Morgan likes Oppenheimer because it ticks all the right boxes. So this is the first reaction video I've done. May not do any more, but let's see how this one goes. I would love to hear from everybody. Actually, on that point, have you got any films which have been rebooted, been redone under the same title, or any sequels which you think are better than the originals? And on that note, please subscribe, and thank you for listening, and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.